In the past 3 months, I've realized what I believe to be my biggest mistake in starting a podcast company. It's a mistake I made when I first realized I wanted to leave my on-air radio job and create a company with no business experience. Today, I'm revealing it to help save the next small business owner. Maybe you. And no, it's probably not what you're expecting. This is Session in Progress. A few episodes ago, I spoke about the solopreneur, which is when you run your business by yourself. Technically, that's not me. I've got a full-time producer, Amelia. Say hello.
Hi.
Who you've met on a previous episode, and a couple of high-level production legends who shall remain anonymous because their big radio jobs probably don't want them having side hustles. Thanks, guys. But we haven't spoken about solo founder versus founding team. This is my biggest mistake I've made in starting a business. I got the support of my family, friends, maybe even you watching or listening to this, but I don't have the support of someone riding the roller coaster with me every step. When I don't eat, they don't eat. When I win, we win. I have realized I'm really good at making podcasts. My first two podcasts, Listen, Able and Got Some, have reached over 10 million people and are a top 2% podcast based off their analytics. But what you've noticed listening to this podcast or watching is I'm a pretty lousy businessman, which I'm always trying to learn from, and I'm open to any advice. Here are some reasons why I think I needed to start from your pocket with a co-founder. Number one, I'm a creative whose time is best spent in the edits, client podcast ideation, social execution, control of studio outputs. My role would be something like head of studio. I would excel with a business-minded co-founder, someone who looks after the books, manages client outreach and onboarding, hiring, management, and business relations. I trust them to bring in the work, overserve our clients, and manage the finances and forecasting. They trust me to deliver the podcast, video, audio, social media, branding, marketing, and delivery to our clients and ourselves the highest level in industry. Number two brains, one goal. Co-founders are great for sharing ideas and challenges of running a business. Rather than relying on my thick skull with a co-founder, I could bounce ideas off them and get a different point of view. And the other brain might be great to sanity check some of my ideas. Number three, trusted support. We take risks, we make or break, we learn together, and we back each other, always. Number four, mitigate risk for investors. Having a co-founder on board shows investors that somebody's already bought into the idea besides you. A team of two validates the business and can settle any qualms investors might have about what if something will happen to a founder, and it lays a stronger foundation for the probability of success. Shared resources at number five. Ideally, my co-founder will come from a different background, have different connections, spheres of influence, and we can combine forces that'll enable me to create a larger impact so we can scale faster. I know incredible talent for podcasts. Just today, I emailed replies to two of the most amazing women who are leaders in their industry, and they want to work with me. Now, don't get me wrong, there are positives to founding this company solo. In fact, the study called Solo Survivors, Solo Ventures versus Founding Teams looked at 3,526 startup companies. They found an interesting dichotomy. Indeed, investors seemed biased towards teams, as we spoke about, as the startups with multiple co-founders raised more money. But in terms of outcomes, they found that startups with single founders tended to last longer and eventually achieve higher revenue. Some of the key findings were for solos: the agility to make quick decisions, no disharmony amongst the team, none of this, I worked till 5:01 p.m. and you left at 4:45 vibe. You know what I mean? Plus, I'm a creative, and somewhere up here is the mission and vision to create a groundbreaking podcasting startup. So, why don't I have a founder? Well, when I started, I thought I didn't need one. Not for ego, but because I didn't know any better. I didn't know about the forthcoming loneliness, fear of taking huge risks alone, and stretching myself thin across all aspects of the business. I also didn't think I would be spending hours doing payroll, client campaign reports, and reconciling every Uber between meetings. And I did ask someone to join with me, a friend of mine, someone who ticked every box that I've mentioned, that's helped me in the business before, and I was amazed at their skills, a person I already trust and I like, and we would make great business together. But they said no. Not because the idea of large equity and owning their own work wasn't appealing, plus working with me, you know what I mean? But because they're just so great at their job. They'd recently landed a partnership deal for their client with Taylor Swift as part of their current role. They deal in tens of millions, I deal in thousands. And I'm not alone. I'm a solo founder, but there are amazing people around me. And on the next episode of Session in Progress, our friends at Studio White Noise, who are a brilliant design studio here in our co-working space at the Commons, Ask me a really important question.
So what have been the greatest challenges with your existing brands? We've touched on a couple of things of legibility, actual iteration of what that logo looks like in Marketplace, but what are some of the bigger challenges outside of that?
And I provide an answer that changes this business forever. Matt Poole, one of my best mates the other day, introduced me to his manager who was working with us on a podcast project and said, Angus is from In Your Pocket. And I get In Your Pocket a fair bit. So if From Your Pocket isn't cutting through with my friends who follow my pages and know my journey, then maybe the brand equity isn't at a point that it's that strong. Next week's a big one, I promise. And it helps dive deeper into the psyche of the business and business in general and the importance of brand. Subscribe to not miss it and listen ASAP in case for some reason I need to take any of these podcasts down. Hear them first and get alerted. Also, our highlights are on our Instagram page at session.in.progress and watch the full episode on our LinkedIn with one click in our show notes. Thanks for getting to the end.